Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika, and this is Atlanta that we talking about, y'all. All right, season 1, episode 3. The old man in the tree, okay? This was a crazy episode. Okay, we started out this episode with Ern, Al, Darius, and of course Van is with them. We still don't know what the heck Van is doing here, but okay. They on their way to this party. Ern is talking about, you ain't got a shark take it, okay? Apparently they go into this guy's house, Fernando, who's a billionaire, and he's saying that they could basically, tell him their ideas, all right, and pitch some different, ideas to them. And he's like, how many billionaires do you know? And he was like, exactly. So just hang out, peep game, and all of that kind of stuff. Maybe get some stock ticks, diversify your portfolio. At this point, they making fun of him. They talking in their white voice. And then, when Ern does his voice, they like, man, that's the way you talk all the daggone time, all right? So you ain't putting on no voice. And Van is like, leave him alone, and they basically all laughing. Now, when they get to the house, this house look weird as hell, okay? It ain't a house. It looks like it's an old abandoned damn store or something with a whole bunch of newspapers in the window. So they like, this can't be the right address. Where the hell did you bring us to? What's going on? Ernest like, wait a minute, I'm going to check this out. They like, yeah, you do that, all right? Because I don't know where the hell this is you brought us to. And they basically was saying that it was reminding them of, they like, this ain't no damn billionaire house. And they was like, it's giving themselves from the hood vibes, all right? And so Ern, like I said, says he's going to check it out. He goes over there, knocks at the door, and he's like, I'm basically looking for, because this girl opened the door like, what? And she ain't even looking at them. She's still busy texting on her phone. And he's like, I'm looking for Will. We're here for the party. And she's talking about, okay, what do you want? What are you going to do? And he was like, I'm not understanding what you're saying. And she was like, well, don't just stand there like you at a prick, a prick at a wedding. And so then you hear somebody saying, is that Ern? Oh, come, I hear. He's like, oh, come in, come on, come on. Come on, you made it. So when they come in, honey, it's looking better and better every step they take, all right? He's, they basically ask, is the girl coming too? And he's like, no, she works here. They go up these stairs and there's garbage everywhere. They stepping on all type of different glass and stuff. And then they going up another step, set of stairs. And so he's asking Ern, do he work with British artists? And he's like, no. He was like, he really don't understand a lot of what they saying. And the guy's like, oh, well, thank God for mumble rap. It gave us a leg up. And so he starts naming some different UK artists, and they basically say no to like 3 of them. All right. Like, he's like, oh, he's pretty dope. And he was like 21 Savage. And of course, that is the only one that they know. Then he puts in this code in this door, and they go into this another, part of the house where it completely transforms, look like a whole different place. It's a house within a house. Now we talking. Now this looks like a billionaire's house, okay? And there's a bunch of people in there. And when he was saying out back, I was thinking he was about to take them, in the backyard somewhere. And so Darius is like, yo, that's a decoy house. And they like, whoa, bro, I never seen nothing like this. And then they like, wow, they got their own Nando's. He was like, it's Nando's on Nando's in here, okay? And so they looking all around. And, Van goes in and immediately grabs a glass of wine. She's over here putting stuff in her pocket. I'm like, okay, what's going on, Van? Ern is looking at her the whole time. The guy asked Ern about her, and he was like, oh, no, she's just a friend. And he was like, well, what happened to your wife? I can't remember her name. The guy says he's divorced. And he was like, oh, man, I'm so sorry to hear that. But he was telling her that Van wasn't one of his artists. She's a friend of his. And so he's like, okay, cool. You got them talking about, he's going to see a new bird and rent a new space and all this other stuff. And in the meantime, it's like Ern is listening to him, but not listening to him. And he's seeing Van putting these things in her damn pocket. And so, the guy will ask him if he want to go meet one of his other artists. And then he was like, okay, cool, sure, yeah. And he tells Van to come with him because he like, yo, girl, when you put anything else in your damn pocket, you going to have the whole shelf. And so they go ahead to see, what this artist is talking about. You have Paperboy with Fernando coming up to him, and he basically, introduces himself, and he's talking to him for a minute. somebody's offering Darius some food, and he was like, oh no, I just had a burger, I'm good, I don't need nothing else, yeah, thanks or whatever. Everybody's just kind of, fill the place out. They telling them, oh, it's free, and he's like, I know it's free, or whatever the case may be. Darius is like, oh, look at the book collection, everybody's just looking around. And so they like, wow, this is really hard, or whatever the case may be. And so, like I said, the guy Fernando comes up to him, and he's talking to, Al, and he's like, telling him I'm Fernando, and I like to, find creative ways to project myself and all this other stuff. And he's saying, welcome to Paperboy. And so he was like, oh, okay, oh man, I'm Al. And so he basically was asking him like, oh, do you like trees? And so, of course, Paperboy thinking about some other trees, baby. When I the kind of trees he like, oh, hell yeah, there's a, what he said, there's a turtle bump on his behind. He was like, hell yeah. And so, Fernando was telling him that he rarely ever leaves the property or whatever, but he does like to have people come to him so that way he can have fun or whatever the case may be and show them a good time. And Paperboy was like, say no more. And so they go back in the backyard, and of course Paperboy thinking they going back there to go ahead and smoke. When they get back there, is this big, huge tree in the middle of the ground. And he's talking about, isn't it beautiful? And Al was like, oh, so you was talking about a real tree, And then he's like, yeah, I basically built this property around it. It was already here, when I came. So he's like, oh, okay, cool. And so, he's talking about how beautiful it is. He like, isn't this so magical? Isn't it lovely? And all this kind of stuff. And of course, again, Al don't give a damn about this. And he's asking, can he smoke back there? But Fernando is like, no, that wouldn't be good for the tree, okay? There's no smoking back here. So now he really ready to go because he won't be able to smoke his stuff. And so, Al also says this is the whitest thing, I've ever seen. And so, he then tells him, there is gambling in a spa upstairs or whatever the case may be. And he was like, oh, what kind of gambling y'all do? And he was like, poker. And he was like, of course, he does like to have some drinks. It's this woman that's just running around the house yelling and screaming. Al looks at her and was like, all of these people are your friends. And he was like, yeah, in the matter, of speaking, you could say that. He was like, I used to really just keep the place to myself. But then I realized that by using my abundant sources to bring everybody together, it could be all different type of artists, rather than shutting them out. And I could open my doors and just basically let all influential people from all around the world come in and exchange meaningful ideas. And again, Al don't give a damn about all this stuff that he's talking about. But once he starts bringing up, the gambling, the spa, and all of that stuff, he's like, okay, now you pique my interest. And then he turns and says, plus, you can smoke up there. So I was like, well, why you ain't been say that? Let's get up there to where you can smoke. Okay, now you talking my language. So they got had to go upstairs, where the gambling is at. You have Darius say, excuse me, to this girl that's standing in the kitchen. And she gonna talk about some, oh no, I'm in a relationship. And then basically show him her hand that got a ring on it. And was like, actually, I'm engaged. And Darius is like, huh? He's like, no, excuse me. I just wanted you to pass me the scotch behind you. And so then she started apologizing. And she wanted to tell him how she used to always get hit on, black guys all the time. And he's like, okay. This guy comes and he takes his hat off. He's saying his name is Socks. And when he take his hat off, Darius is like, yeah, your hairline is really intense. His hair is just all kind of crazy on his head. And he tells him about how he's losing his hair and everything like that. And he was like, Darius tells him, well, white guys can kind of pull that off, really easy. He's like, look at Jason Statham, Bruce Willis and things of that nature. And so, he was like, black guys, I feel like, go through a little bit harder with that. They wouldn't really be able to do that. And so, he basically starts saying, yeah, that is true. And he was asking the guy if he wanted a shot. And he's like, yeah, sure. And so he basically starts telling him like, oh, I heard what that girl was saying to you. And he's like, oh, no, it's no big deal. You didn't have Earn coming in to where this guy's supposed to be an artist, but it just looked like he making a whole bunch of mess on the wall. They tell him this is TJ and introduce him, and he talking about hello people of color. So Van and Ern is like, hey, and then he tells them that they're there with Paperboy, and then the boy gets, interested. He like, ooh, Paperboy. He was like, wow, you a musician? So he was like, oh man, I do whatever. He was like, look around, bro, this is all me. And he's like, it's all self-taught, and it's just like I said, a bunch of scribble on the wall. So Van and Ern is just looking, and then he was like, you want to see my installation? And they like, yeah, sure. That would be great. So when he shows them that, that's basically a picture of some white guy that got a shirt on but got, no pants, no drawers, no nothing on the bottom with his little pecker showing. And he was like, this piece put such a deep sadness in me or whatever the case may be. And Van is like, oh yeah, sadness. I see it. It's very sad. And so basically you could tell that he's getting over on these people. I guess they giving him money or whatever for him to do these art pieces. But Ern is like, this is not where it's at. You have Paperboy come upstairs. He's meeting everybody that's at this poker table. Everybody's saying hi. This old white man asked him if he could get a toe off his joint. He like, oh yeah, sure. He give it to him. He choking up a storm. He talking about, oh, you ain't got no tobacco in here. And Alice basically like, no. And he's like, wow, you take it straight. Oh man, it's been a while or whatever. And then, Al basically lights up another one. And so he was just telling him like, dag man, how do you smoke a straight like that? You a madman. And he's steadily coughing and steadily toting. And so, Al was taking out his money and they was telling him it's 1,000 to start in. And Al is like, what? And they was like, 20,000. And they was like, yeah, man, your name is Alfred. He was like, yeah, but you could call me Al or you could call me Paperboy, whichever. And so they say, okay, well, it's 20,000. So, Al is like, oh, okay. He was like, oh man, he just start taking stacks out his book bag. He like 5, 10. 15. Then he's like, matter of fact, you know what? Just pour this whole thing out. So he basically pours the whole book bag of money out on the table. And I'm already like, oh God, what's going to happen? He going to end up losing all the money and they going to be stranded there. Like, I could see this going in a horrible direction. What the heck is about to happen? So, you have Ern still having a discussion with the guy Will. He's basically trying to, tell Ern all about this artist and how good he is and how he's trying to make him famous and all of that. And they telling him some random ass, story or whatever. And Ern is like, well, I'll tell you what, Doja Cat kind of had the same idea and I don't want to come and do the same exact thing that she's doing. So let me go ahead and talk to Doja Cat first and then I could get back to you. And he's like, okay, dude, think on it. Of course, Ern don't want to be bothered with this. And he trying to get the hell up out of there. You got Fernando telling Al this story about how this black guy came in. He was wet from the rain, but he was ashy at the same time. And so, Al is basically laughing. And he's saying, yo, I got a lot of questions. What the hell are you talking about? How could he have been, wet and ashy at the same time? He was saying that, Fernando was telling him he was home. He was scared shitless. He hearing some noises. And he was like, he heard this sound. And he was saying, show yourself at once. And he was like, he didn't hear nothing. The house was dead silent. And then all of a sudden he sees it. And he was like, this pale skinned black man, came walking through completely naked. And so, of course, Al looking at him like, and then, like I said, he talking about he's soaking wet because it's pissing outside and all of this. So I was like, hold up, man, hold up. He was like, you telling me there was a wet, ashy man outside your house in the middle of the night that broke in? And he basically is laughing. He drinking, he's still smoking, playing this game. And he was like, what did you do? I got a lot of questions for Nando. So they basically gonna say, oh, this is some funny shit. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna raise you, like, still playing the game. And so Fernando talking about, you got that right. I said the same thing, but the only thing was it wasn't even raining outside. All the windows and doors was locked. So I was trying to figure out how this happened. He was like, my security alarm never got tripped. Not a sign went off. And then I realized that this was a ghost. So of course now he laughing even harder. He's like, you telling me a damn ghost came in your house? And so he's basically like, yeah. And he's like, nah, yeah, like, what did you do? So he was like, well, I did what any man in my position could do. And one of the other guys at the table gonna talk about, he had sex with it. And then I was like, get the hell out of here, man. He was like, y'all bugging. He was like, so you had sex with a ghost. So he talking about, no, no, no. There was no physical connection. This was deeper than that. The spirit came to me and it chose me. And he was like, it cleansed me. And after it was finished, when he woke up and it was gone, he basically had an ectoplasm all over him. It was a layer that was covered on him. And so Ern was like, you mean semen, right? And they all dying laughing. He was like, the spirit came on you. I was like, yo, you stupid. So he was like, it was a bust and run from where I'm from. And then they still talking about all that. And so the guy says to him, you don't believe in ghosts. And, Ern was like, Al was like, I never really thought about it. I'm sure it probably could be. So he was like, do you believe in God? And Al is like, yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, why not? And so he was like, well, if you believe in God, then you got to believe in the devil. You know what I'm saying? And he basically started getting all serious. And he was like, there's good and bad spirits everywhere. And why do you think there's so much killing in the world? And why do you think, I have so much money and the devil is just as powerful as God? So I was like, listen, this is weird and y'all need to get the hell up out of there. Okay, that's what these vibes is giving me. And he's telling him everything have a balance. And so Alice basically like, I hear you. He was like, well, God must be looking out for me because bam, I got 4 aces, And so all of a sudden, they laughing and he talking about some, I know what that means or whatever the case may be. And, Fernando says, well played, Al. And so he was like, there goes your balance. And so Fernando talking about some, oh, well, you cleaned me out. He was like, no, I ain't cleaned you out like that ghost did. And he's still laughing. But the next thing you know, Fernando get up and walk away. Then not too long after him, one by one, each one of the players is getting up and leaving. And the last one to get up and hurry and walk out is the one that was basically the dealer. And they like, oh, I gotta go check on my wife downstairs. They making all different kind of comments because Al was like, he's coming back with my money, right? And I don't play that. And so they all just leaving and nobody is answering him. And I'm like, oh Lord. And so basically he's the last one left at the table. And of course he ain't happy with that. You got Darius still sitting talking with this guy that, had the crazy hair, whatever the case may be. And he still keep bringing up the chick that had made the comment by the table. Basically now he's turning her into a racist. And Darius is like, no, it wasn't that serious. She wasn't doing nothing racist. I'm good. Or whatever the case may be. I'm all right, And he's trying to look around to see where, any of his friends is. He not spotting them. At one point, he sees Van in the backyard. Like she's smoking by the same damn tree that the guy was saying nobody supposed to be smoking around. And all of a sudden, these other daggone white people start surrounding him talking about, oh, we heard what happened. We don't appreciate that. We don't play that. We don't like stuff like that. Oh my God, what happened? They talking about she came on some 12 years of slave shit. And Darius is like, what are y'all talking about? Like, no, it wasn't like that. And he keeps trying to tell them and none of them is listening to him. And they acting like they more upset, for him than he is for himself. You got Ern walking around and he's looking for Van, saying he's been trying to keep an eye on her because she been acting a little strange. He asked, Paperboy where his hat was because while Paperboy was walking and trying to find Dan Fernando, the same chick that was running around the house acting crazy, screaming and hollering, basically had ended up grabbing his hat and running off with it, and then he tells Al like, oh, he owes you money, don't he? Because he sees that he's upset and he's with his head down. He was like, yeah. He was like, how much? And he was like, 40. He was like, oh, wow, 40. He was like, well, maybe he gonna write you a check. And he was like, he ain't writing me no damn check. I want my money now. And if I was in damn Atlanta right now, he would get his ass beat down, okay? We know he don't play this shit, so he's really pissed off, And then Ern is telling him like, well, the guy Will is trying to take advantage or whatever the case may be, he was saying how the guy, the boy don't have no talent and he's over here getting over and trying to make money off of it and all this other stuff. And he was like, that Fernando basically, owes him the money. Then he over here talking about a damn ghost that he has sex with Ern. Like, what? He was like, yeah, is this some London shit? Because there's some real freaky shit going on in here or whatever. And so, like I said, Ern is telling him how his art sucks and he's not good at it. And he was like, I think he knows that, but they was like, he's still taking advantage of Will. And, Al is like, why the hell do you care? He was like, shoot, if a black person could get over, then let them get over. He was like, yeah, but he's black though. And then, Ernest like, so because he's black, he was like, hell yeah. He was like, when it's white kids, they do it all the time. What you think TikTok is? He was like, shit, more black people need to scam. So he had me laughing with that or whatever the case may be. And then right after that, you have the boy come up and be like, oh, hey, what's up, my man? And he was like, oh, the vibes and you know what you gotta do, right, my man? He was like, we gotta get what we could get. And he was like, I just want to thank you in advance, man, because you know how we gotta do it and what needs to happen now, right? Basically saying that, Ernst should be in on it. And he was like, you know how the culture is and how these white people, be doing it. What's wrong with me trying to show off or whatever? So Alice asking him, do he live there? He's like, yeah. He was like, we was playing poker upstairs. Is Fernando ever coming back out of his bedroom? So the boy laughs and was like, oh man, I hate to be the one to tell you, but Fernando ain't coming back down. Why you tell Al that? I don't know, because Al is ready to beat Fernando's ass now, for real, for real. He's like, I'm going to beat this British man's ass. You got Van standing in the backyard, and while this guy's walking past with a tray with 2 glasses on it, like bringing drinks or whatever the case may be, she basically just pushes him in the pool mad random out of nowhere, and then was like, oh, trying to ask him, do he need help or whatever. So of course Ern jumps up and runs out there, and he's like, are you okay? Is everything going good? He was like, are you mad at me about something? She's like, no, why would I be mad? And he says that he spoke to her mom, their daughter is good or whatever the case may be, but the mom is worried about her, and he's starting to be a little worried about her too, and then he's like, I'm sorry, it's like a habit. And she was telling him it's okay, she understand, and she's used to it. And I still am asking, like, yeah, Van, what the hell are you doing here? This is weird, all right? And so Ernest still trying to ask if she need anything, and she's just telling him, no, she's good. And as she goes to walk inside the house, she basically ends up pushing another lady in the damn pool, and the lady's almost damn drowning. I'm like, okay, girl, what the heck is happening here? You have the guys that was inside talking to Zarius still making up random stories. They just taking this whole racist thing further and further. You have this lady that's crying. Zarius is like, yo, what the hell are you crying about? What is happening here right now? Okay. And he was like, some other guy comes and sits down because the girl was saying hi to him from across the room, and he was going like this, like trying to warn her, like, child, if they see you, they about to come over there and whip your ass. Okay, I think you better stay away. And then they all see her and they all start going after her. So then as they going after her, some other guy come over and he says to Darius, like, oh, racism is a trip, man. And so Darius was like, I didn't really think it was racism over here. I thought it was classism. And the guy was basically telling him, like, it's a little bit of both, and then he was like, aren't they pretty much, kind of cut from the same cloth? And then Darius was like, yeah, well, you got a point there, because it's about, who's more higher up than the other, trying, and, the guy had told him it was hard to separate it, isn't it? And so he was like, yeah, you right to a certain degree when you put it that way, because something only has value, when it's less than something else. And so they was like, oh, well, what about Taco Bell? And then they like, well, Taco Bell has Pepsi. So, yeah, no, that's not racist. I don't know what the hell that had to do with anything. But Darius and his daggone sayings, okay? And so the next thing you know, you hearing some yelling and you seeing the guy, Fernando, laying in the bed with his back to the window. It's daggone Al yelling outside his daggone window, telling him he want his money. Get up. He's like, oh, you sleeping? You sleeping now? You sleeping? And so you then have Ern going and telling the guy, Will, that TJ is going to need a manager, and usually managers will charge 30%, but because he going to give him this deal, he going to do it for 25%. So now Ern trying to make money off the daggone guy. I guess he now hip to the game or whatever. You have Darius saying, yo, I think we should get going. And when they look, Ern is now going off. He done got a saw. I don't know where the hell he found the saw from. And he's basically trying to chop down the tree that the guy was showing him in the beginning. The guy's now looking out the window at him. And he's like, oh, you up now? You awake? You awake now? Oh, you up now? I thought that would wake you up. He was like, I want my goddamn money. And so, basically, they start trying to call a cab, and they like, yeah, we gonna have to go ahead and get the hell up out of here now. It's time to go. Ern had also noticed that it was a picture on the wall where it looked like a damn slave master, standing with a black guy. So I think that's what made him change his mind too, and was like, I'm gonna get what I could get out of this. And so in the meantime, you got Al picking up whatever he can. Like, I'm taking stuff, okay? I'm going to get the value of my damn money up out of here. I'm taking on these Nandos. I'm taking whatever I want to take. So you got Al, Ern, and Darius all running out to jump inside the van, that came to pick them up. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, where's Van? And I'm like, am I missing something? I didn't see her come out the house with them. And so, you got Al screaming things for the nano bitch. So when they get in the car, they all serious at first and just glad that they got the heck up out of there. And then they all bust out laughing. And they hearing somebody else laughing extra. And they like, what the hell? It ended up being the same damn weird guy that had came in the house and took his hat off and had the weird hair or whatever. And he actually is passing out his hat. I don't know how the hell he got the hat from the girl. But he's like, oh yeah, you had left the hat in the house or whatever the case may be. Here you go. Because they all stopped laughing and was just looking at him. He's like, oh, you forgot your hat. And he gives it to him. So again, I'm like, well, they don't notice that Van is not with them. So all of a sudden we see that daggone Van is there in some damn restaurant. I don't even know how the hell she got there. It looked like it was a little diner or something. And she busy looking at a magazine and sipping on some drink or whatever the case may be. And Ern is calling her on her cell phone. And she basically just looks at it and puts the phone down. So what y'all think going on with Van? I don't know. She was acting weird. This episode was weird. It was a lot of stuff happening. But what do you think really brought Van there, right? Because she said she had the boyfriend back at home. She left her daughter back at home. Her and Ern is not together. So what y'all think? Any guesses as to what she's really there about? But that was the episode, y'all. Tell me what y'all thought about it. This was funny. I enjoyed it. It definitely was making me laugh. But let's discuss. Put it all in the comments. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Till next time. Toodaloo.